Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness, and I am excited to be here today. Today's special guest happens to be a soul sister of mine, a very, very special person in my life. Her name is Guerdy Seddoh. Let's bring her on. Hello, Miss Guerdy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So good. I am so glad that you're here today. Can you believe it's already the middle of November? Oh, my goodness.
I know. It's crazy.
Time flies. Oh, my
It
goodness.
does.
So obviously you are a dear friend of mine, but I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself and your own wellness journey with the audience.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this platform. I'm so excited and honored to be here. I always start by just saying I'm a child of God and I'm a student. Before I get caught up with like titles and all these other things. I grew up in Haiti. I was born in Haiti, grew up and migrated here around probably 5, 6, I don't remember. And I was living with my father's side of the family for a short period of time. And then I ended up moving to Boston with my mother and my younger sister. And it's just been an interesting journey because my mom was a single mom, and just watching her strength, her courage, her heart to just love people and give. And I just remember just always being in the background, observing, and just quiet to myself. But later on, as I grew up and as I evolved and as I met, amazing people in my life, my spiritual mentors, I realized that, wow, this quiet, shy girl, she has so much to give. And through this journey and also being in relationships that taught me a lot, which I didn't think so at the moment, but being in love relationships, of course, realizing that, wow, I'm so much better than who I thought I was growing up. I'm not just quiet. I'm not just shy. I'm not just vulnerable. But there's a power in me that I need to acknowledge and also let others know as well. So that's pretty much a little bit about me and my wellness journey.
Now, I love that because a lot of people, as you and I were talking about before, wellness isn't just about what you put in your mouth. It isn't just about how you move your body. There's so much more to it. And I know that having a relationship with your higher self is such an important aspect of wellness. And so I would love for you to expand on that thought.
Yeah, it's true because I think growing up, wellness was all about, fitness and how you look. And although I'm passionate about like our well-being, but I realize that it's mind, body, soul. It's everything. It's every part of us. But spiritually, we need to feed our souls first. As my mentor always says, as within, so without. And we are spiritual beings. So we have to work within first in order to see the results outward. So I realized that even like with eating or going on a diet, and a lot of times people wonder, why am I not losing the weight, or why am I not getting the results that I want? We realize that everything has to do with what's going on internally. So I'll stop there.
No, I mean, it's so true. I was just thinking though, because, a lot of people don't realize too that even if you do everything technically right, even if you eat healthy, even if you exercise and move your body, if there's something going on with you mentally and emotionally or spiritually, you are not going to lose that weight. I mean, you might a little bit. Right. Because, there's just some part to that. But honestly, you really won't. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are like, I can't figure out why I can't lose this weight. Right. And like and normally people say, oh, they're just lying. But there is a truth aspect to, your body's going to hold on to things as a form of protection, first of all. Right. But, I just think that that's so important too. Like, you have to feed your soul.
Yep.
So I know that you are a spiritual life coach. I would love for you to explain a little bit about what you teach.
Yes. Well, I have a platform that's called Becoming Yourself. And I help people to really transcend the nagging energy of self-rejection. And in becoming yourself, it's a journey. It's a journey because you can't just say, yes, I'm a child of God. All right. So what? Oh, yes, I'm powerful. I'm amazing. Okay. But you got to put work behind that. and it's constantly learning new things. It's constantly growing. It's constantly seeing the brighter self in you, being able to go through challenges, living with someone, realizing that, you're taking their baggage and examining it and helping them, but you got to help yourself first. So becoming yourself, it's really becoming the best version of you, which is the higher self in you, acknowledging that every day, really, because your higher self is always there. It never disappeared. And when I say the higher self, it's a divine life of God in us, a God force, divine self, divine source, whatever you want to call it, but it's always there. It's just a matter of you acknowledging it and letting that light shine, like the scripture says. But becoming yourself is just an opportunity to see the beauty that you possess every day, even when you don't want to see it, being able to see it, and then how you can shine that and give it to others as well. So I really just encourage people in that way through my platform.
There's a couple things that I want to unpack a little bit, but the first thing that really just stuck with me is the nagging. You use the word nagging, and I love that word because when somebody is really uncomfortable, they're going to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that nagging. It's like that underlying, it's bothering you. But it's like we get so used to that feeling that we tend to not acknowledge it when we don't have to deal with, we don't have to live that way.
Yeah, we don't. But sometimes we get so comfortable
Mm-hmm.
because it's either we're afraid. We're afraid to make new decisions. We're afraid of a lot of stuff. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of just a lot, and we know that fear is that negative faith. So a lot of times we don't realize how worthy and deserving that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I feel like it had to take me so many years to acknowledge that. And I love it because we all have amazing stories to tell. And it's always when you go through the mistakes, go through the ups and downs, and you realize they weren't even mistakes. People in your life were teachers teaching you stuff, and how you examine that, how you receive it, and what you learn from it, you grow through it. So that nagging energy, it's that someone that nags you, that's bothering you, but
Mm-hmm.
is it really someone? Could that
Mm-hmm.
naggingness be that bump that you need to go through, but instead you're seeing it as someone on the outside that's causing you not to move forward or not to be happy.
Mm.
So
No, I
yeah.
love that. It's about ownership.
Yes.
And what you're talking about is so much more powerful because we can't control other people, but we
Mm-hmm.
can do something about ourselves.
Yes, yes.
No,
Yeah,
I
and
love
it's funny too because at times I realize that, oh shoot, I have a control issue. Especially having two younger kids,
Mhm.
8 and almost 6. So a lot of times you feel like I'm their caretaker. I'm here for them. I have to like control everything that they do, but I'm
Mhm.
slowly learning to give them their independence, to let them wash up in the craziest way, to let them do it for themselves and not be that bump, that nagger that's causing them not to become themselves every day, and experience who they need to be as they're growing up. So yeah.
No, I love that, especially because, a lot of times parents think that it is their job to control their child and not realizing that maybe they're not allowing them to become themselves. They're not
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to grow in and figure out who they want to be and how they want to show up in the world and just sort of experiment, with their body, even like, okay, I want to go play, or I want to, just however the case may be. I just love that because your kids are still pretty young. So,
Yeah.
but for you to realize that early on is pretty amazing. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something everybody figures out, shall we say?
Yeah. I mean, my 8-year-old, she's 8 going on 23. So just learning a lot from them, learning a
Yeah.
lot and just helping them to grow and be their best version of themselves. Yeah.
So, a lot of people aren't even really necessarily aware that they aren't the best version of themselves. So, if somebody's interested in becoming the best version of themselves, what are some things that they can do to sort of recognize maybe certain behaviors, or what should they start looking for? Because you can't change something that you're not even aware of.
Right. That's so true. And one of the best tool that I was able to invest in, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, was the Soul Journey Masterclass. And although being a Christian, I felt as if I was all set, but it came to a point where I needed clarity in my life. I felt as if every aspect of, my relationships, my personal growth, my purpose, I'm so big on purpose and making sure that I'm living the life that I need to live, and my finances and all those 4 pillars. I realized that I was stuck. So in the Soul Journey Masterclass that I also teach, I was able to realize that becoming yourself, you first have to know who you are, because you could know, but then what about it? How do I identify myself with this person? And truly believing that I am that greater self, or that greater self is within me and is operating through me. So in becoming yourself, it's really first identifying who you truly are. Because a lot of times we could misidentify who we are, where our jobs, where our career, we are who people say that we are. But in essence, you are not that. Because we wear so many hats. We wear so many hats, but you can't lose who you are in all those hats that you wear. I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, lawyer, whatever. But I'm first a student. I'm first a child of God, because I'm always learning, I'm always growing. So becoming first, knowing who you are, knowing truly who you are, which would be the first step.
Yes. No, I love that. That's profound. And it's, we tend to forget, we get caught up in the day-to-day experience of living. I mean, just doing laundry, for example, can take us right back into this earth plane, or, as they say. But knowing that we are a soul having a human experience is different than just a human trying to feel soulful. And, there's a huge difference between the two. Like, who are you more connected to? Are you connected to this person that's the mother, and the person that, has a 9-to-5 job? Or are you a soul that puts on these hats and does these things?
I can't lie to you, because I think for so long being in this earthly vessel, I'm a mother, I'm a child of God, like I said before, but I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm a sister. I'm a person that works at a 9-to-5 job, or whatever you want to call it, because I've been living in that structure for so long. But I think it all depends with your upbringing, because you could think that you are that particular person, but really forget your true identity. So when you're going through crisis, or when you're going through a heartache or pain or discomfort, then you turn to your higher self, you turn to God, and and then when everything's all set, you go back to living your normal life. But if we were able to live our normal lives, but become aware every day that, hey, I am divine, I am essence, I have so much to give. Like, we're always shining, we're always happy from within, not temporary happiness, but a true happiness that continues to give and outpour to many. Then we'd be able to really say, no matter what obstacles that we go through, I'm still living my greatest self. We can go to work and we don't see it as, oh, I got to pay the bills, but we just see it as a ministry. Like I'm pouring into many, whatever it is that I'm doing at work. I'm loving up on people. I'm growing through the pains. But I think because we've lived in this body for so long, and because of our upbringing, a lot of times we don't realize that we have to focus on our wellness first, our mentally, spiritually, physically, those first, in order to be strong and overcome the obstacles that we go through in the physical body.
I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of people watching right now are probably thinking, and I know that I used to be one of these people. It's like, okay, I know that there is a better way for me to live, but I also don't want to be, unaccessible or inaccessible to people, or, lose all my friendships and my family relationships because now I am more spiritual. And it's not about like changing so much that you're unrecognizable. Like you still get to be all those things, is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you say, but like
Yes.
how you're going to look at your life has changed. Is that what
Yes.
you're trying to say? Like a little bit?
Yeah. Because I think before I used to be so religious that it came to a point where it is just, if someone wasn't like saved per se, it's
Mhm.
like I couldn't connect with them or hang out with them. But, my mentors have taught me to understand that God is love,
Mhm.
just as Jesus Christ preaches love. If we're here bringing people down, seeing the negative in people, then we're never really awakening love, awakening light,
Mhm.
awakening happiness in them. So being able to see God in as consciousness and not necessarily as the way we could religiously say it and feel as if he's living somewhere in the sky
Mhm.
or
Some
in the
dude, yeah.
clouds, but really understanding that the God that we're talking about, it's that life force in me that
Mhm.
allows me to wake up every day, that moves without me having to say function body, but understanding that. So that's what I would like to add on that.
No, I think that that's beautiful too, because, you know, I know that I was really afraid that I would sort of change so that I wouldn't be relatable anymore. But now it's like I'm more relatable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I'm just going to use an example here. I used to drink a lot, and like a lot. I was a professional drinker, and I was afraid to quit drinking because I was afraid that I wouldn't have any friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life was going to change, and I was afraid I was going to miss out on things.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is I finally did change, and I haven't, had anything to drink in years. But the thing is that even the thing I was afraid of missing out on, I never missed out on anything. In fact, I was more present than I expected because one, I wasn't intoxicated, but also I really just, picked and choose where I wanted to be. And it was like all those friends that I had, they sort of, the ones that didn't match with who I was, really,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
they fell away and the
Yeah.
new ones came in. So
Right.
it's kind of like, okay, I didn't lose anything. I
Mm-hmm.
gained because I became more myself.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Because I mean, even in that situation, like how are you becoming the best version of yourself every day, anyways?
yeah.
Because that habit was not helping you; it was just destroying you slowly. And
Yeah.
even the reason why we fall into certain habits. I know me, sometimes it's emotional eating.
Mm.
And we have to like stop ourselves and be like, okay, why? Because I'm a snacker. I could snack and just forget to eat. I snack. That's enough. But in emotional eating too, you realize like, okay, stop right there. You got to like stop yourself. But we don't do that because
Mm,
we allow the emotions to take over and
mhm.
that we're just like consumed in it. And then we feel good and it gives us that high. And then we're still suffering with the same thing.
Yeah.
So even in that condition that we're in, it's really asking ourselves, who was I? Who am I? Like, who do I need to be with? Who's
Mhm.
gonna give me value? Who am I gonna give value to? Who am I gonna like do life with? And
Mhm.
even though those friends might still be around or whatever the situation might be, but you're able to see them from a place of love and gratitude and compassion and not
Mhm.
judge them like, oh well, they're still drinking or they still have problems. But it's like giving someone like a gift. You
Mhm.
have that power to accept the gift or not.
Mhm.
Um, spiritual gift, physical gift, but it's like once you open it, you could either take it or you could say, I don't want it. And it's
Mhm.
just like with words too, when someone says something about us. Well, if I truly know who I am, then
Mhm.
I don't have to accept that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work that goes with that, of course, because we can believe that we are the body for so long, like I'm
Mhm.
ugly, oh I'm not good enough. But and that's a part of like self-rejection too, because
Mhm.
we're rejecting ourselves, and a
Mhm.
lot of times we feel as if we're being rejected by others. So it's really a matter of like how you're seeing yourself, how that perception.
You know, self-rejection is so prevalent, especially in our society. And a lot of people don't necessarily recognize it as self-rejection. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that looks like so that people are like, oh, wait a second, I do that.
Yeah.
Or I
Yeah.
used to do that. I don't do that anymore. Wherever they may be, how can self-rejection show up?
Well, that's a good question, because a lot of times we feel as if someone rejects us, we don't realize that it's not just a rejection, but it's a self-rejection. For example, if I apply for a job and I know for sure, oh my gosh, this job, I have all the great qualities, I'm a great candidate for it. And then I'm internally, I'm praying. But again, you got to be careful what you're praying for, because you have to still let go too. You're not saying, yes, I want this job. This job is mine. I'm going to get it. But just believing that, you know what, if this job is mine by divine right, I will get it. And just being able to let go.
Mm-hmm.
But if everything went well with the interview and you're like, yes, I got this job, and for some reason your friend or maybe another coworker had applied as well and they ended up getting the position, it's not a matter of, like, we could feel self-rejected, but we say to ourselves, oh, yeah, I know he had an attitude with me anyways. Oh, I know he probably, we make something up, or we hear things, but really it's believing that this self, we're rejecting it. You see what I'm saying? We're believing that something is wrong, rather than believing that it's us that's rejecting. Rather than, you understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times self-rejection, it's that misidentification, understanding that we can go around, we could even be in a crowd and we feel like a group of girls are rubbing us the wrong way. Oh, I don't like their vibe, their energy. But if you walked up in that room and you were at peace with yourself, then you wouldn't have to feel like, I know for sure, she has something wrong with me. You wouldn't even care, because your love, your light would shine so much that you would not even have time to consume that. And I feel like a lot of times too, with self-rejection, it comes from a place of like past hurts, past pains that we've somehow accumulated, that low energy that we feel towards ourselves from the false self, that makes us feel like that feeling of, oh, they're talking about me, or, okay, I'm not good enough. But in honesty, it's going back to, like, no one rejected you. You rejected yourself because of your thoughts and what you're creating from within.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful, because I know that that's one of my favorite things. And I'm going to use this example because I think it's dramatic, but it also proves the point. And it's that, because I have been the queen of blaming everybody outside of me for my mood. I'm much, much better at it now, much better. And but I still catch myself sometimes trying to blame somebody else. That being said, that's when I remember this too. It's like, if you like won the lottery, for example, and you go into a store to buy something, you just won the lottery. Somebody cuts in front of you. You don't care. The cashier's rude. You don't care. I mean, all this stuff's happening around you. You don't care because of, how you feel on the inside. And it doesn't have anything to do with anything on the outside. So yes, you can allow that to affect your mood, but you don't need to. It is an option.
And it's that feeling too, that feeling inside, that energy inside. If every day I wake up and, I'm grateful for who I am, I'm full of thinking about what I want rather than what I don't want, gratitude in my heart, like, things are going to happen, and I'm going to receive them in the best way possible. We recently had a power outage, and I'm grateful that I had electricity. But then I realized, and first of all, we didn't even know in the news that we were going to have a nor'easter here in Boston. But it's just amazing, and people who were without electricity. And I had a friend that said, she had to go to the hotel with her twins, and they were there for like 3 days unexpectedly. Wow. Her basement got flooded, but she had a great attitude about it. She was just like, I'm grateful that we didn't get hurt. We are fine. And I'm just like, that's that energy, that life force that we need to keep. of just being grateful, being happy,
Mhm.
being our true selves.
Yeah, and it's not Pollyanna. It's not like, this fakeness about it. It's just choosing to see things in a positive light. And, there are things that happen and things that we don't want to happen. But like you said, she was like, we're safe. Nothing
Yeah,
happened to, like they were
yeah,
physically okay. So that's something to celebrate instead of focusing on the fact that they had to, go stay in a hotel.
right,
I
right.
love that. It's such a great attitude. Now, I don't always ask this question to my guests, but
Hmm.
I do want to ask you this because you talked about a little bit about waking up and gratitude. And I'm curious if you have rituals or things that you do in the morning to really set your energy right for the day.
You know what? I wake up smiling. It's weird,
I love
but I
that.
just wake up and I'm just like, good morning. Um, the past few days, well, anyways, that's what I usually do. Wake up just smiling, just like, I don't know, that smile just brings more life in me. And I feel as if I can't do anything else until I have like my quiet time. And that could be either reading, that could be praying or meditating. It could be worship, listening to music, but it's mostly like having that time of just gratitude, like good morning, just smiling. And also to speaking what I want. So a lot of times, today is going to be a great day full of miracles, signs, and wonders. And as I'm saying it, I'm getting excited as well. And sometimes the miracles, the signs and wonders don't have to be like, oh, I won the lottery, like you said. It could be just waking up like, wow. Because a lot of times I feel like we take things for granted. We could be like, oh, I had another boring day. No, you had an excellent day, depending on what you created, but you were safe, you were well, you have your family, you have your health, you have your job, you're not out on the streets, you have things going for you. So just really waking up with that energy of just smiling, like, good morning.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's beautiful. Well, we do need to go to a commercial break. So, Guerdy, we'll be right back. Okay.
All right.
For everybody who is watching us live, thank you so much. We were so glad to have you here. But as I mentioned, we do have to go to commercial. So, we'll be right back after these messages.
Now, you can vibrationally align your aura. You can gain a larger and spiritual perspective on life, relationships, God, people, wellness, and money. You can also have moments of meditation and reflection any time of the day. And reading the thrilling, adventurous, and mystical story of Shiga will just add more faith to your daily experience of the mystery of the universe.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
As human beings, we are meant to thrive in an environment where true love is shared, where we are welcome just as we are. A space we connect with others with the single purpose to find God as love within. A place we learn to raise our consciousness and vibration for happiness, wellness, and wealth creation. Transformative, an online spiritual gathering for everyone. This invitation is sent to you by www.livingfaithschool.org.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness, and my special guest, one of my favorite people on the planet, Guerdy Seddoh. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So as the commercials were playing, I was thinking about how can people get a hold of you? I know Instagram, you have tons of stuff. So this is your handle, as they say, so people can find you. What kind of things can people expect to see on your page?
So they can expect to see inspirational messages, also some of my live videos, as well as recorded videos as well. Just really empowering people, reminding them that they are healing gems, because I believe, as human beings, the body has the power to heal itself. So you are a healing gem, and you're always bringing life or light or encouragement to someone in one way or another. Whether it's through service or whether it's through helping them physically or mentally, or even praying for them. Even a smile could be a gift. So I have, these tools on my Instagram page to just inspire people, as well as my YouTube page as well, Becoming Yourself, and Facebook, Becoming Yourself as well.
I'm so glad that you shared that, because I know that I've been following you for a while, and first of all, you have a voice that is just there's something about it that's so calming and soothing, and I just love hearing you speak. You could be saying blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, you're also eloquent, and what you have to say is of value. So I just wanted to say that for those of you who are watching, she's definitely check her out, because she is definitely a gem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I adore you. And,
you.
I know what kind of wisdom you have and how willing you are to share with people. So I love that. And it's so uncommon, unless you happen to be in the right circle of people. That's an uncommon thing. So for those of you out there who need some inspiration, check her out.
Yes, thank you.
So, speaking of, becoming yourself, and something that you said that I really want to touch on is that, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think a lot of the times we get stuck in believing things that our brain tells us.
Right.
And, there's got to be a way that, you could start altering your brain chemistry and change those neural pathways. What do you do that helps you reconnect? Because, like you said, we are in these human forms right now, and it's really easy just to be, I got this bill to pay. That seems like, we tend to forget, in the grand scheme of things, it's not as important as who we're being. So how do you become yourself?
Well, like I said, every day, how you want to start your day, setting that intention. Yes, we're going to go through stuff. And stuff means, whether it's heartache or pain or just stress, daily stress that we might go through. But becoming yourself is really, setting that intention. You have to set the intention by first making a decision. But you have to make that decision by first acknowledging where you're at. So for example, I could wake up every day. Some days I might not wake up smiling because I either went to bed late or something happened, or I don't feel so smiley, but somehow I push a smile. But I know for sure, like, if I don't get like my quiet time in, if I don't get my conversations in with God, then I can always have that throughout the day. But as I said, the intention, so it depends where you're at. You know what I mean? If you're someone who has rituals in the morning, that's great. If you're someone, you're like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't know where I'm at. It's a matter of saying, well, where do you want to be? Identifying who you truly are, who the power that is within you, the light that is within you, making that decision to start fresh, whether you have a spiritual community, whether you have people in your life. So a lot of times we're becoming ourselves, if we're, depending on the stage that we're at, if we're at that stage where we don't know where to start with first by sitting with yourself and asking yourself questions. Because when you do that, you're acknowledging that I need to sit down with myself. Like, I've just been going in circles. I just don't know what, like, I'm here, like, serving people left and right, doing stuff. And like, I'm going crazy. I'm stressed out, but being able to sit with yourself, ask yourself questions, find out what you want rather than what you don't want. And then finding the tools to apply those tools. And once you do, it's like a reminder every day. That's why I love reminders, because sometimes we know, but we just get so caught up with all the commotion that's going on around us that we forget, like, oh yeah, I have the answer for this. Why did I let this person, get to me? Because it felt good in the moment,
Yeah.
So yeah, it all depends where you're at. And if you're at a point where you're totally lost, and totally lost doesn't mean anything bad, but you're just like, I don't even know where to start. Start by just sitting down 5 minutes. Sometimes people think it's hard to sit still, but if I could sit down and just stare at the walls, for some, they might think that's boring. That's exciting for me, because I want to just be still sometimes, running around, with our busy, hectic life. But just being able to sit still, be quiet, focus on your breath. A lot of times we have times where we sit down and our mind is just racing. But if we can reconnect with our higher self, we can reconnect with that breath within us. Finding those quiet moments. You can have music in the background. Yeah. And I'm sure as you slowly start to do that and develop that relationship with your higher self, you'll be able to really reconnect and, have things that you need to do to stay in alignment in order to continue to evolve in becoming yourself.
You said an important word, evolve. And something that I'm just feeling called to share or say is that a lot of people, myself included, tend to think that, it's like, I do this one time and I'm good.
Yes.
No, it's like making your bed. You got to do it every day if you want, to keep it in shape. So it's kind of like, okay, having this relationship with my higher self and who I truly am isn't just, I'm connected and I'm good.
Right.
I forget about it. It's something that you have to put effort into. And, I love that, because I think we forget it's kind of, it's a microwave. We live in a microwave society where people just expect everything right now and then it's done, but it doesn't really work like that. And it's really not as fulfilling anyway. So
yeah. I mean, imagine like if, you're 30 years old and for like the past 20 years, you've been believing in a certain truth that, you are not good enough. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden you're learning spiritual truths and they're saying you are good enough. There is this amazing person inside of you. You're not going to believe that overnight. I mean, hey, if you do, that's going to be a miracle. That's great. But it's going to take work, because you're going to have different triggers that are reminding you that you're not good enough. You're going to have that the false self that's telling you, yeah, you need to stay here with me and suffer because you're not good enough. You can't do it, And, as we evolve, it's really learning to just desire to grow every day, desire to stay connected, desire to check in every second and just be like, how we're feeling. Because if we're feeling good, we're good. Even if we're feeling good, we could take a break and just check in, making sure we're not just satisfying just our needs, But, you know, I'm a huge believer in just giving to others as well, like serving,
Mhm.
you know, making others laugh. How can I give to someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, something that I know you've said in the past and I love is that, you know, taking care of yourself is not selfish, and like putting yourself first is
Yes.
not selfish. A lot of people, especially mothers, are like, wait, what? Women in particular, it's like, excuse me, but I have to take care of everybody around me. First
Right.
of all, I mean, if you're a mom, then yeah, you kind of do need to take care of other little humans, but why do we make it our job to take care of the entire world and not
Yeah.
ourselves?
Yeah.
So
Why do we do that? That's a good question. Because
I
we
know.
feel, I think it's just like trusting that, because at the end of the day, if I send my kids to school,
Mhm,
especially with this virus that's been going on, I had to just trust that they had to go and they're in
mhm.
good hands. And, you know, even when you have children, believing that, you know, they chose you
Mhm.
and you're like, you're their parent, you're their caregiver, but at the same time, they belong to God, you
Mhm.
know, because all that worrying and fear, that's not going to do nothing. So
Yeah.
just constantly keep asking, what do you want me to do with your kids? But being able to really just care for yourself, you know, and that's not always
Mhm.
easy.
Yeah.
That, you know, you got to just remind yourself, like, I need to take a break. Because if you don't, you're going to
Mhm.
break down. You're not going to be able to give from like an empty vessel, right? So
Yes, you can't pour from an empty cup.
no, you can't. You can't. So rejuvenating yourself, and that's not always easy. And you know,
No.
you need to have the support. And sometimes you might not have the support. You know, like
Mhm.
I don't know what else to do, because I can feel that way sometimes too.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. We can figure something out. Let them go to
Yeah.
bed early. Spend extra
Yeah.
time. Like we'll find a way. But just
Yeah.
making sure that we could make that priority.
You know, you touched on something that I really wanted to elaborate on, and that's about, you know, caring for yourself and how, you know, it doesn't always mean like facials and manicures and things like that. It sometimes does mean going to bed early. It sometimes
Yes.
means brushing your teeth, even though you want to just fall into bed. But what else? I mean, what are some other things that maybe that you think of, or maybe that you do personally,
Mhm.
that show yourself that you are a priority? For me, it's making my bed in the morning.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that because if I tell the kids to go, hey, do your bed, they're like, you didn't do yours. So,
Exactly.
yeah, just looking in the mirror lately, because I think after you're a certain age and you have kids, you forget to like fix yourself up, whether you're going out, you're not. And again, this pandemic and being behind like the screen, you just want to
Mhm.
be like in your PJs all day. It's kind of depressing, you
It
know?
is.
And just going out or
Mhm.
even dressing up, fixing yourself. You know, I listen to
Yeah.
music a lot that just keeps me going, or like I love dancing and singing. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, even if I'm stressed out with the kids, I'll just blast my music
Mhm.
and get myself rejuvenated as they're being rejuvenated as well.
Yeah.
So just doing fun things that you love to do.
Yeah.
Even if you know you feel as if, oh, I can't find a sitter, or whatever the situation might be, or I don't have
Mhm.
friends, or I don't know who connect with,
Yeah.
just finding things that you love to do.
And it could be as simple too, because this one just popped into my mind, but like blowing bubbles. I mean, as silly as it is, it's childlike, it's fun, it like
Yes.
releases tension, you know. I mean, I've heard that so many times from people that I adore that I took that on, and it actually helps. I mean, it sounds so silly, but it actually helps. It's like, okay,
Wow.
I
Okay.
stopped taking myself and my life so seriously if I'm blowing a freaking bubble, you know?
Chewing gum, or even sometimes coloring.
Yes.
Like
Oh my
I'm like,
goodness.
oh my,
Yeah,
this is fun.
it
Like,
is.
yeah, it's
Yes, and
good.
I'm an artist and I still color. So sometimes, you know,
Really.
yeah, it's just it's a meditation for me just to just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
get in there. No, I
Mm-hmm.
love that so much.
Yes.
So, what else would you say is important? You know, important in the aspect of just really learning that it's so, I guess, like, how can you show yourself grace is what I'm trying to ask, because, people, like you said before, are in different stages of their own, like, discovering who they are again, or remembering. I prefer that, remembering who they truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, what are ways to show yourself grace? I know for me, it's like as simple as, whenever that voice comes up, like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or why didn't I meditate for longer, or why didn't I
Right.
meditate at all sometimes? How can we, like, just ease into, realizing that what we do is good and that tomorrow we can make a better choice?
One of the things that my mentors say is that draw a line in the sand and start over again. Because I know for sure I could be hard on myself, but oh man, I was supposed to do a liquid diet today. Oh, I was chewing on like cookies, and then your mind says, okay, well, we can continue. And then you find yourself just like chewing. You know what? Tomorrow, like giving yourself grace, like it's okay. Tomorrow's another day. People might say tomorrow's not promised, but guess what? Tomorrow's another day. Believing that, you could do better. Surrounding yourself with people too, that encourages you and that lifts you up. Because, having that group energy, as really helps, because, the scripture says, when we are weak, he is strong. Our higher self is strong within us and doesn't give us too much we cannot bear. So just having people in your life, someone you can call or talk to, you can vent to in a way where they're not going to judge you, but they're going to be able to awaken in you what needs to be awakened. Understand where you're coming from, remind you of who you are, and just really elevate you and empower you, because, the storms are going to come. Yeah. Right. The challenges are going to come, but, just being okay with it. And then one thing I always say is that as the challenge comes, embrace it. Like you like own your wellness, own what's happening, understand what's happening. And you don't have to fully, I guess you have to accept it in a way, but not accept it like, oh man, this challenge is just going to beat me up and kill me, but just accepting it. And then, okay, what are we going to do about it? What are the final results? So those are things that, we could do as well.
No, I love that too. And as you're saying that, I was thinking, we can accept it, but we don't have to attach meaning to it.
Right. Detach
it can
from
just be what it is, and that's okay. And it's kind of like, I know that when I started on my spiritual path, like really made it front and center instead of being like a closeted spiritual person and like put it out there instead. I still had these thoughts or these things, or maybe, I still used to listen to like gangster rap. I used to, up until not that long ago. And then it finally got to the point where I just couldn't, because it didn't resonate with me any longer. But the point was that, growth and like all of that, it's not linear. There is going to be those ups and those downs and those moments where you kind of feel like, I know I could have done better than that. But like you said, that sand, the line in the sand, I love that. And it makes perfect sense to me. I love that so much.
And if we had no challenges, like everything would just be like, okay, like we wouldn't be growing, we'd be the same that we've been. We were still might be struggling with some type of pain personality, whether it's anger or frustration, resentment. And you're like, it's been 25, 30, 40 years. I'm still a bitter person, because when the challenge came, like, what did you do about it? Were you blaming someone else, or were you checking in? So,
No, that's really powerful. I love that. And, I think about the growing part of it. It's not always fun, because they don't call them growing pains for nothing. It's not always the most comfortable thing, but being in that cocoon, it gets boring. And I think that then you start creating stuff that's negative because you're bored. So might as well grow.
And it's tough. It's tough because it's not going to be easy, and sometimes you're not going to make decisions when you're like, yes, I'm going to make that decision to change, because, being in that place of heaviness, sometimes you just feel like, I can't make any decision. I just want to stay here and be
Yeah.
miserable because we could feel so comfortable in the pain.
Yeah.
And from experience too, like, it just feels good. I just want to be miserable for the rest of my life. Like, no, like, I just want to be in pain. I don't see anything else. But that's not true. That's not true.
I'm glad you brought that up because, something that I learned really when I was a kid, actually. Fortunately, I was a teenager when I figured this out. My mom had passed away when I was 13, and I had a lot of trauma growing up. That just happens to be one of the big ones. And I had this epiphany one day, and this was such a, my higher self talking to me. And it was such a kind, I call it verbally slapped, but it was, first of all, it was in my head, but it was such an awakening. And it was that, oh my goodness, I'm addicted to being sad.
Yeah.
And that was so life transforming. It was like, switch.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my, and people think, what? Why would you? But it becomes comfortable. It becomes what you're used to. You don't have to live like that. There's more out there.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I love about the soul journey, where it teaches about, your higher self and the false self, and then your inner child. And it made so much sense why I always felt as if first of all, my mom used to listen to old French sad love songs. Till this day, like, if I hear it, it was registering in my subconscious. And I used to be like, wow, this song is just powerful, but it was doing something inside of me. So for the longest time, just like being in that pain, but then realizing that now that you're seeing the light, you're understanding that, whoa, this is not who I truly am. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to detach from the old self, the old habits, the pain, personality, and really attach and just let that awakening come. And knowing that, no, I don't have to be that, because it's not going to benefit me. Who wants to be next to a miserable person that doesn't want to change, grouchy? It's not bringing your spirit up, so.
Yeah. So you've touched on the soul journey a little bit. We're almost out of time, so we have to wrap up. But I know that people can find you on the website, correct? On the Happiness Retreat Center website?
Yes.
So for those of you who are watching, just look up Happiness Retreat Center, and you can find Guerdy on there and learn more about the soul journey, as well as, hear other testimonials and all kinds of fabulous information. So I just wanted to make sure that we pop that up there. Just so that's another way for people to be able to reach out to you as well.
Yes, that's correct.
And then I also want to make sure that we pop this one up again, just for daily inspirations.
Yes.
Or